Good morning. Welcome to our webinar on SEMCOG resources for economic development. This is Nahid Haq, Manager of SEMCOG's Economic and Community Vitality Group. We're excited to have you here with so many of our community partners and economic development practitioners with us. Before we begin, I want to go through some housekeeping topics. We're using a webinar format, but we encourage you to ask questions using the question and answer tab throughout the presentation. Our speakers will answer questions about specific topics directly, but we will keep the more general questions for the end. The webinar is being recorded and will be available on SEMCOG's on-demand webinar library in the next week or so. We will also provide a link along with a copy of the slides to all registrants. So our goal today is to provide an overview of a new resource for our members and partners to help with economic development. The economic development page includes several tools, data, and maps, including a new story map that visually describes Southeast Michigan's economic development strategy, as well as interactive maps showing development patterns and traffic volumes, in addition to some of our most recent placemaking tools. Our staff will demonstrate many of these today. There are some tools that require more time than we have available today, so we have scheduled a number of individual webinars in the next few weeks to discuss these in more detail. These include the Equity Emphasis Areas tool, and on July 12th, as well as the webinar on planning tools for electric vehicles on July 20th. This webinar is part of a series part of our effort to implement Southeast Michigan's Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, or SED. For those of you not familiar with our Economic Development Strategy, or SED, Increasing Shared Prosperity for a Resilient Economy was developed by SEMCOG and our private sector partners, Metropolitan Affairs Coalition, in collaboration with our members and other regional stakeholders. The strategy was approved by SEMCOG's Executive Committee and the MAC Board earlier this spring. The SED is a required vehicle through which the U.S. Economic Development Administration, EDA, evaluates grant and resource requests from communities. SEMCOG offers letters of support to our communities and partners for grant applications aligned with our SED. Increasing Shared Prosperity includes 6 strategies shown on the wheel, 22 policies, and 99 actions to create a more resilient economy. It focuses on 3 pillars: business, talent, and place. This is the region's 3rd economic development strategy and addresses real-time challenges and opportunities facing our region, primarily the impact of the pandemic and growing social justice movement through a lens of health and equity. The 6 strategies are listed on this slide. You can access the resources we will be discussing today on the new SEMCOG Economic Development page. This can be accessed by clicking on the Economic Development image on the homepage at semcog.org. The following speakers will take us through the resources. First will be Kevin Johnson, a planner in Economic and Community Vitality Group, who will provide an overview of the resources, and he will be followed by Dolores Miller, Brian Possum, Chad Sagir, and Kevin Vetrano. Well, Kevin?
Thank you, Nahid, and good morning, everyone. So I'm going to share my screen, and we'll get started here. Okay, so you're looking at SEMCOG's updated economic development page, which includes, as Nahid mentioned, the regional economic development strategy and all the critical mapping and data resources that SEMCOG has available. So here at the top of the page are the links to the economic development strategy, Increasing Shared Prosperity for a Resilient Economy. The strategy, as Nahid mentioned, was adopted by the GA in March, and since then, we've been busy developing tools and resources that were identified in the strategy to assist with regional and local implementation. The wheel over here represents the 3 pillars to our economy, talent, place, and business through the lens of health and equity. Alongside it, this link here is the new interactive economic development strategy story map. It's web-based and it's dynamic. It's a dynamic resource that takes the major content of the strategy and integrates visuals, tools, pictures, graphics. So I'm going to click on that and get that loaded here. So there's a couple of ways in which you can view the content. You can begin to scroll down. There's also 6 main sections here along the top that you can skip to sections that you may want to get to in more of a hurry. I'm going to start by scrolling down, and we enter the regional framework section of the story map. And we see some of the core themes of the strategy: place and talent and business. And all of this provides us with more of that background information. What I'm going to do now is click to the current economic conditions section. You'll find here the majority of the data and key findings of the report are located here. And so I'm going to give you a little look here at what we have. So we have, this is the beginning of this section is the major, some of the major themes of the strategy: manufacturing, healthcare, services, retail, trade, and how these have really been in flux really before the pandemic and then accelerated during the past year. I'm going to continue to scroll and show you some of the data. Here's some infrastructure information. We have a series of maps showing our various infrastructure resources throughout the region. And I'm going to continue to get down to our labor shed. Should be loading up here, but it's our, here we go. This is our bicycle and pedestrian mobility network, and I think I skipped over it. Here's our broadband availability. We have labor shed and so forth. And you're going to be hearing more about that tool a little bit later. Skipping to the next section, resilience, health, and equity. We have content and tools in here in our story map that address our critical infrastructure and the impacts of natural disasters. Here's one of our tools, the flooding risk tool dashboard. And also health and equity, of course, is the other important lens that we're viewing these through. And here we have our high frequency social economic dashboard. And you can interact with this map, and Brian will show you more detail on how to interact with this map a little bit later. Our SWOT analysis provides information on our region's strengths. If you look on the left here, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And now I'm going to skip to the regional strategies. This provides one location to access all of the economic development 6 broad strategies and the 22 policies that support them. And finally, the last section, implementation, includes our action plan and evaluation framework for the strategy. So that's just a quick look at the story map. I'm going to go back, and I encourage you to explore that on your own. I'm going to now head back to the main economic development webpage here, and just give you a close look at some of the other resources on this page, more of a spin around the block, and then some of the other presenters later will do more of the deeper dive. So the maps and data tools section, which I'll click on here, we have this section divided into a number of areas with the goal of having all this information is to have a single location where member communities and our partners can access this economic data when you're updating your master plan or local plans or strategies, and develop, or you may be needing information when you're developing, pursuing funding grant opportunities, or you have a developer that you need to get information to, And that's why we have all this in one place for you to be able to access this easily. So we have at the top economic dashboards. You'll be hearing about 3 of these today. Additional planning resources are access to parks, building footprints. You'll be hearing about Community Explorer and Community Profile is next. And then finally, our Site Explorer map series. Back to our main economic development webpage and looking now at our electric vehicles hub. This is one of our newest tools. It provides data, background information, and status of infrastructure deployment and funding opportunities, case studies, and more. Now, as Naheed mentioned, there's an upcoming webinar on EV on Tuesday, July 20th at 10 a.m. So I encourage you to register for that on SEMCOG's website. The equity emphasis area is another new tool here at SEMCOG. It uses a score-based analysis to help identify concentrations of various vulnerable groups in the region. When I clicked it, I land on our landing page here, and I'm going to continue on to the actual dashboard here. And so you can look at a number of key demographic variables at different geographies at the region, county, community, and census tract level across our entire region. The controls down here on the right lets you change the data sets that you're selecting. And right now, you can see there are 4 data sets that are depicted: minority, youth, older adults, and persons in poverty. You may just want to look at one, so you can click that, and let's just select the one, the minority. If we want to go back to multiple data sets, we can begin clicking others, and then this information is all available for download. So you can click on this button here. Oh, it's not opening right now because I don't have Excel loaded, but it'll provide you with an Excel data set of that information. Once again, going back to the main economic development webpage, talent is a section that's rich with a trove of information that SEMCOG and MAC has done over the years. I just want to show you where a number of these projects are identified. If you click this accordion down here, you'll get access to the future skills, report on education reform, STEM careers, skilled trades, and many reports we've done over the last couple of years, and additional data tools and maps that are available for you to access. Broadband is another new area that we're working with a broadband action group this year. I love this nifty tool here where I can quickly test my internet speed to see how I am faring. And we have 4 priority areas that we're working with the action group to develop actions on. Mapping and data being one of them. You have to have good data, good understanding of where the resources are before you can move forward. Broadband infrastructure. This includes both the infrastructure to provide the broadband to your homes, but also the devices to be able to access the broadband network. Digital literacy and the digital divide. This is an area that we've really been honing in on over the past year of those individuals who we need to have participate in this broadband economy, and all the public policy decisions that need to be made to help accommodate this. And then finally, our place-making area, and you can get access to our bike and pedestrian mobility network maps, water resources, and so forth. And so, and then we have a couple other accordion tabs with current information that you can access. So with that, I am going to turn things over to Dolores Mueller to discuss community exploring community profiles. Thank you very much. Dolores?
Hi, this is Dolores. I noticed in the chat there was a question about how do you define a high indicator for that equity emphasis areas. For single variables, that high indicator is basically when you rank all of the different areas compared to the regional average, it rates in that higher category of a standard deviation. Let me switch to my screen too at the same time. The higher standard deviation compared to the regional average, that's for the individual. And then also for combined, what we do is we combine all of the scores based on that standard deviation of the individual values. We combine them depending on which ones that you've selected. And in that scoring, it's going to score as the higher score. I believe it's 4 and 3 are the higher variables. I'm trying to put my face on so that you can see me. Video. Sorry. Let's start my video. There, here I am. Thank you for doing that for me. All right, so we're back here. Kevin, I went back to the economic development page. And again, if you scroll down, if you go underneath the maps and data tools, select that. And I'm going to be showing you 2 tools within SEMCOG's website. It's Community Explorer. Scroll down, you can see Community Explorer right here, and then also Community Profiles. These are some of our most popular tools that we have available on the website, and I'm going to start out with Community Explorer. It's impossible for me to show you all the different features in these 2 different tools in the time that I have available, but I use a particular example. I have a daughter who just graduated high school and is going to be starting culinary school. And just an example of like a startup business site selection, sort of looking at the different types of economic or demographic data that we have in the region, I wanted to use this as an example. So she currently lives in Livonia and is probably going to start looking around in that area. So what I'm going to do is, when you open this tool, it defaults to the region, but you can also filter it to whichever county that you prefer. So Livonia is in Wayne County. So just to simplify and kind of be able to see things a little bit easier, I'm going to select Wayne County, and you can see that it automatically zooms in. So the default view is total population per community, and that's shown in this upper left part of the map. But as you can see, there's a wealth of other information about Wayne County on the side. And then all of these graphs are basically taking all the communities within Wayne County and then ranking them based on many attributes. If you scroll down, you could see them. So one of the criteria that she may be interested in looking at is somewhere, a community or a place near southern Livonia or near Livonia that perhaps has a shorter average commute time. And that would be under the economics section. I guess the thought here is if a person has a shorter amount of time to commute to work, maybe they have more time to stop for donuts in the morning. So if you scroll down here a little bit, if you select average commute time, it's automatically going to change the map to show you average commute time. You can see here what the average is for Southeast Michigan, around 27 minutes. and Wayne County is lower, but all these different communities are shown compared to the regional average. And Dearborn within Wayne County is has the shortest average commute time, but you can also see Livonia, Dearborn Heights, and also Wayne is another community around Livonia. It also has a shorter than average commute time. So what other things could she be interested in looking at? Well, maybe we've narrowed it down to some nearby communities, but to really more pinpoint areas within the communities, we can change the geography from communities to census tracts. So once we change it to census tracts, you can see everything got updated here to show all of these census tracts within Wayne County, because that's what you have filtered. Another thing that she might be interested in is looking at daytime population. So daytime population is something that SEMCOG estimates. It's also under economic section. If you scroll back up here, we can click on daytime population. Daytime population is an estimate of non-working during the day, non-working residents plus jobs. And we can kind of zoom in and kind of see what we have for that area, those communities that we were talking about. So in Livonia, there's like 1, 2, 3 census tracts, and another one here, Dearborn Heights, and another one here in Wayne. These are in that darker plum, and they have, if you kind of highlight over these, they have a higher daytime population that they, that could be potential customers if you're looking at a neighborhood bakery. So let's look at something else. How about, for example, if she's looking at the customer base and she would like to see an equal share of seniors and youth within the area of the neighborhood. Well, you could look at that underneath by going to the section population. We calculated something called ratio youth to seniors. And I'll go ahead and update that. So where you have higher youth to senior ratio, you will have these dark green, and then where it's low, you'll have the more yellow color. So if we're looking for an equal balance of youth to seniors, we'd be looking for kind of this medium green color, not the dark, not the yellow. So now looking at those original census tracts that we were looking at, these two kind of fall out being in the yellow, and this other one, now it's more, and you can see how it's falling in that graph, is more in the dark green, maybe the more youthful, and then this is more a little bit of the older population. So what we have left is this census tract here, still in Livonia, and it's a little bit harder to see, but I believe it's, I kind of lost it maybe by, oh, here. Is it? I have to zoom in once. Remember, it's in Dearborn Heights. Ah, this one. Oh, I can't find it exactly, but sorry, I took note of it in my other notes. It's a census tract 5721, which you could actually pop to over here. 57, if you knew a particular census tract that you wanted to check out, just scroll to it, 5721. And if you selected that, you'll see that all of the graphs to the side get updated with that census tract information and where it falls if you wanted more information about that census tract. So now that we know, Dearborn Heights is a different community that census tract is falling in, and she may be less familiar about it. So maybe she just wants to learn more about Dearborn Heights. Well, we can switch back to communities, and then we can also select Dearborn Heights again. And again, you can see all of the graphs get updated with the demographic, household, broadband. There's just a multitude of information here. If you wanted more to focus on just Dearborn Heights without it being compared to other communities, you can link to the community profiles right here. there's a link. If you click on that, it'll automatically open up to our community profiles tool with Dearborn Heights selected. Now you can just really focus in on Dearborn Heights and learn about that community. It defaults to the people tab, and you can kind of look at our forecasts into the future. So here's 2020. So it looks like population is forecasted to be steady or slightly increase. And you can see those actual numbers from 2020 estimates to 2045. That's total population. And you can kind of see reasons for that. It's currently experiencing natural increase and then also a positive net movement into the community, which are very good indicators. You can look at household types, and then you can also see that the number with seniors is projected to increase, and also the number of households with children is also projected to increase, which is also a positive sign. You can find more information about detailed ages if you wanted to. Switching to economy and jobs section, you can start to explore the different types of the number of jobs forecasted within Dearborn Heights, and then also the industrial classes that are represented. For example, you can see that for the healthcare services, the projected increase in that industrial class going into 2045. And again, we can look at daytime population, get information in that mix of daytime population. What percent is made up, the non-working population makes up 75% of that daytime population, with 23% of it being accounted to jobs. We can also switch to transportation. Oh, wait, one more thing. Down here, you can also look at commute patterns. You can see where workers are commuting from and workers are commuting to. If you wanted more detailed information about commuting patterns, you can see Dearborn Heights, Detroit, and Dearborn kind of have a close connection to each other. If you click on commuting patterns in Southeast Michigan, you can see a map where you can type in the community and it'll show you that detailed pattern. So here's Dearborn Heights, and then you can see that connection to Detroit and Dearborn. Going back to commute profiles, the last tab that I wanted to show you real quick was transportation. And a couple things underneath there are, you can take a look at pavement condition, bridges, and transportation to work. How are people getting to work? You know, and look to see if there's anything that you want to dig down into further. For example, if you look at pavement condition, it looks like current compared to past, there's a slight increase in poor condition roads. If you want more information on that, click in the source information. Here it gives you information about how those pavement conditions are evaluated. And you can also link from there to our pavement condition map. You can reselect Dearborn Heights. One too many. Once you select that, it'll automatically zoom in. You can change the background to, let's see, the imagery. Start to zoom in to that area. Oh, I forgot to show you. I did look at that census tract before, and it was west of Telegraph and between Ford and Warren. And here you can see the kind of the good pavement conditions. You know, for example, you know, if anybody watches Cake Boss, you kind of know that pavement condition is pretty important to know, and being careful with delivering all of your bakery goods. So hopefully I was able to give you a good idea of some of the data that's available. I mean, there's other tabs. There's the land use, environment and land use, where you can actually look at which areas are already developed or vacant. We have an update of land use coming up in 2020 that's going to be announced pretty soon. And if you have any other questions, I welcome you to go ahead and add those into the chat, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. So now I'm going to pass it off to Brian Partham. I'm gonna stop my share. All set, Brian?
Yeah, stores. Let me share my screen here. Can you see my screen okay? Yeah, okay. Hold on a second here. All right. So yeah, hi, I'm Brian Partham, and I am going to go over 3 applications today, including our economic indicators, our high frequency socioeconomic dashboard, and our labor shed in Southeast Michigan mapping tool. First, the economic indicators. I'll bring that up here. There we are. Okay, so the economic indicators were created by SEMCOG to help you, like if you were to perhaps be doing a master plan, for instance, and you needed some data on our region or on the counties in our region. The purpose of it is to show how economic conditions have changed over time. The data sets include total wage and salary jobs, unemployment rate and labor force components, total GDP, per capita income and annual change, poverty rate, taxable value annual percent change, crime rate, total housing units and occupancy rate, educational attainment, total population and annual change, and then pavement and bridge conditions. The page opens up to the region, but if you want to select any county, you can by just clicking on the map, and the charts will automatically update. You can also select the counties using the drop-down box over here, or just return to Southeast Michigan using the drop-down box. So if you want to look at the data, you can hover over each data point, and it will show you the numbers, as you can see here. Go on there. There it goes. And then for a select few charts, such as GDP here, if you click on it, you can see the components of that data set in a second chart. So for total GDP here, you can see how it's broken down by industry. At the top of each chart, there's an explanation of what the data is and why it's important. You can also copy the chart to a clipboard, and then you can download the data too into a CSV file if you need it. So for this indicator here, if you click on the About page, you can learn more about the data and about the application as well too. So these economic indicators in here are all annual data, but sometimes you need data that occur more frequently, such as monthly or weekly, especially as the last year has shown. So that brings me to our next tool, which is the high frequency socioeconomic dashboard. And you can get to that again from our economic development tools page by going here. And there are, the dashboards are organized into 4 categories: COVID-19 tracking, business climate, labor market, and place. Each page has a similar layout of 9 sections that contain a mix of indicators, charts, tables, and there's a summary over here in the upper left-hand corner. For the category name, if you just click on a category name, it opens up to a new tab. And for business climate here, you can see that we have data on employment in Southeast Michigan, as well as business applications in Michigan. We have data on small businesses from the Census Bureau's Small Business Pulse Survey here in the middle column. And then here on the right column, we have data sets that are national in scope, but we feel that are important to our region, such as the Consumer Sentiment Index and US vehicle sales. If I click on the next page, labor market, We have labor force components as well as the unemployment rate. We also have average hourly earnings and weekly hours. And we also have the initial and continuing unemployment insurance claims for Michigan. And then for place, the data set that we have in here right now are building permits in Southeast Michigan. These are SEMCOG's very own data set. The housing price index, which is reported quarterly for our region. We have mobility data from Apple as well as from Google. And then down here at the bottom, we have two charts measuring the mental health of our region, the specifically depression levels and anxiety levels from the Census Bureau's Household Pulse Survey. I am going to go into the business one here. And what I want to show you just to kind of how to use these charts a little bit more. So if you click on any chart here, every chart in the tool here has an expand button. Click on that, and you can see the chart in more detail. It opens up to a new tab, and again, you can hover over each data point to see the numbers. If you want to only look at certain components of the data, you can turn different categories on and off. So here, let's say I just want to look at the goods producing sector for our region, mining, logging, and construction, along with manufacturing. And here the access will dynamically update as you make those changes. Hit the refresh button up here to just reset it. And then we also have a slider bar down here at the bottom if you want to look at the entire history of the data set, or even just a certain time period as well, you can do that. Move that back over here a little bit. At the bottom, we have a description of what the data set is and why it's important. And then we also have the source listed as well with a hyperlink going to that source's page. The up at the top, you can export the data to a PNG file if you need it for a report. And you can download it again to a CSV file if you need to work with the data for any reason. And then the other thing we have here as well too, we have an overlay button. So if you click on this plus sign right here, you can overlay any other chart from our high frequency dashboard onto the existing chart. So I'm going to select Consumer Sentiment Index here. And what it does is it just opens up a new tab that you have to close. But if you go back to the chart you were working in, you can see that the consumer sentiment here was added into this chart. Another axis was added here. Another vertical axis was added here. And the consumer sentiment line is right here, this dashed blue line. It might be a little bit difficult to see, but I'm just trying to trace it right here on with my pointer. The last thing I want to show too for this is that you can also show look at the data. For certain charts, we have the data at smaller geographies. So for this data, we have it by metropolitan area. If you want to look at it for other metros, you can just click on the drop-down box. There would be a drop-down box right below the title here, and you can look at it for the smaller geographies in our region. In this case, it would be the Ann Arbor Metro, the Dearborn Metro, and the Monroe Metro. And in case you need help using this tool, we have a video tutorial available that opens to a YouTube page where you can watch to learn more about it. Next is going to be the labor shed map. Let me just close these guys out. Okay, and the next thing is our labor shed map. So let me open this guy up. So the purpose of this map is to help workers and employers connect with one another. The map shows where the region's workers live, work, and the commutes between both locations. We also include estimates of how many non-working residents live within each census tract, because it's within this population that potential workers can be found. The map, when you open it up, opens to an about page, which describes the application. It provides sources and definitions of the data sets. And then we also have an instructional video here too on how to use the application. So the map is really divided into three layers. The first is workers by residence, seen here in red, and then workers by workplace, seen here in blue, and then non-working residents, seen here in green. All of the data in the data set is published by a census tract as well. And then also each layer has a dynamic legend that updates as you zoom in and out to the different areas of the region that you're looking at. For workers by residence and by workplace, you can also filter the data by industry. So let's say you're interested in just seeing where all the construction workers who work in construction live. You can filter them out, and this is what it looks like for the region. Go back to hit select all to return it to all. We can also do it by residence, or I'm not by residence, by occupation. So let's say you want to see where all the computer and mathematical workers live. That will show you as well too. You can select multiple filters as well if you'd like. If you're zeroing in on just certain occupations or certain industries as well. And this data is shown for both occupation as well as for workplace. So again, if I look at computer and mathematical, you can see where all the computer and mathematical workers work. For non-working residents, this data can be filtered by age groups. So ages 16 to 24 are youth, prime working age, ages 25 to 64, and then our seniors ages 65 and up. So let's say I want to try to recruit younger workers into skilled trades, for instance. I click on that, and it will show me where we have higher densities of younger residents who are not currently in the labor force. These tracks might be good ones to target to try to get to try to recruit apprenticeships, people for apprenticeships in our region. You can also filter the data by county and by community. So I'm going to go to Macomb County here, and let's say I want to look at Shelby Township. Here it just filters out just the census tracts that fall within Shelby Town that pretty much intersect with Shelby Township. If I go back to residents here, I'm going to show you, if you click on any tract as well, you can get details on the breakdown of workers by residence and workplace. And currently, since the occupation category is shown, it's detailing the number of workers by residence and workplace by each occupation. And then at the bottom, we have the breakdown of non-working residents for this tract by age group. If you want to see it by industry, just switch it over to industry, and same thing, number of workers by residence and workplace by industry. The age group data doesn't really change. And then the last part of this map that I want to show you is the commuter flow. So let's say you want to understand the trips between workers and their workplaces. This tool allows you to do that. It selects the default census tract when you turn it on, and it will place a red house marker if the residence layer is selected, and then a blue worker marker if the workplace layer is selected. The selected tract is outlined in red, but if you want to look at another tract, just simply move it to the tract you want to analyze. And then with the blue worker marker being active, you can see where workers who work in this tract commute from. So the majority of the workers who work in this tract also live in this tract. So there's about 246 workers that live and work in this tract. But the other workers who work in this tract largely commute from other parts of Macomb County, a little bit from Oakland, and a handful from Wayne County. And then the opposite is true for residents. So let's say I just switch it over to residents. I can see where the residents in this tract work, where they commute to for their jobs, allow them commute into Macomb County, some into Oakland, and then I can further filter this data by industry if I want. So let's say I'm just interested in the manufacturing workers who live in this tract. Where do they work? They work largely, looks like right along the Van Dyke and Mountain Road corridor, with the majority, the largest number going to this census tract down here in Warren. This concludes my presentation for today. I will go over the residential construction and the non-residential development later. Next is Chad Seguir, who will talk about traffic volumes.
Thank you, Brian. Let me share my screen here. One second. So good morning, and let me introduce myself. My name is Chad Seguir, and I'm from SEMCOG's data analysis section. Today, I will be demonstrating our traffic volume and bicycle and pedestrian count interactive maps. And I'm going to show you how you get to those maps. So from SEMCOG's homepage that you're seeing, you can click on menu. And from menu, you can go to data and maps. And under data and maps, you want to go to map gallery. Now, the map gallery will show all our maps, accessibility maps, boundaries, demographics, economic and environment maps, but also our transportation maps, which are down here. And I'm going to be demoing our traffic volume map and our traffic volume map and our bicycle and pedestrian count map. So let's first go through our traffic volume map. Before I get into the map itself, I want to give you a little bit of perspective on the map. So traffic volumes basically give us an indicator of how many vehicles travel along a road segment. And one measure that you'll hear a lot under traffic volumes is average annual daily traffic, and basically, or AADT. And basically it's just the amount of traffic divided by 365. And simply put, AADT is a simple measure of how busy a roadway is. It's saying your screen shared is paused. Does everyone see my screen, or can someone from SEMCOG confirm that you guys see my screen?
We are not seeing your screen.
Let me redo it then. Sorry. Thank you. Do you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, this is our traffic volume page. So historically and currently, most planners and engineers use AADT to justify road projects and improve roadways. But more recently, we've seen AADTs being used by community and economic development professionals and realtors to recruit businesses into their communities. We also see the planning community uses the AEDs to apply for various grants, including safety and improvement grants. And also counties and local maintenance facilities are relying on AEDs to help prioritize, snow removal and other services in their area. And as you can see, the AEDs are an important factor to help plan vibrant and safe communities. So our interactive map, as you see, is split up basically into a couple sections. We have the map section and we have widgets right here on the side. Basically, if you hover over the map or go around the map, you'll see a little pop-up, and very simply, you'll see an AEDT and the road name. So that's one feature of this particular map. If you go a little bit, if you zoom into the map a little bit, you'll see that if you click on a segment, you'll actually get more information. For instance, you'll get the AEDT, the road name, the county, the community, the last year that the count was taken, the type of count. We have basically 3 types of counts in our map. We have something called observed, which is this one. And observed is actually an actual count taken on that segment. We have interpolated counts, which those counts are basically mathematically derived from observed counts. So they can be adjacent segments that we kind of mathematically derive a count on. And then we have a derived count, which is more like an engineering guess on what the count should be. And it also has a formula. We use things like area type, functional class, number of lanes to figure out what the traffic should be on that particular count. It would be nice to have all observed counts, but we have over 22,000 segments in Southeast Michigan, and it wouldn't be cost effective to take counts on 22,000 segments. Another field in here we'll have is the number of lanes, the posted speed, the county, the owner who owns the road. So it's either going to be the state, the county, or the city. So a specific road, if you have questions about it, you'll know who to contact for them. And then also the segment of the linked segment. Now, in addition to that, if you're someone who wants more information, this map is basically derived, constructed for different types of users. Some people just want to come in, get a traffic count, an ADT, and leave, and that's fine. If you want more information, if the ADT is hyperlinked and you click on it, you will see that more information will come up. It'll go into another database. And then you can actually get more ADT trends over years. You will get the raw count. You can get things like speed and classification. And you can even dig deeper by clicking on that. And you can even see like how many cars by different intervals. So, how many cars throughout the day, cars, trucks, buses, so on and so forth. So you can either get something very simple or something very detailed, depending on what you're trying to do. Another nice feature about this map is you might be interested in just knowing a certain range. So you want to know low volume roads. Well, our legend is also interactive. So if you just want to know low volume roads, you can click on 1 to 5,000 and it gives you all the low volume roads in the region. If you want higher volume roads, you can click on either one of these. Now, on the right side here, you'll see that we have these widgets. You can actually select by county. Say, for instance, you're interested in St. Clair County. This will just give you all the roads in St. Clair County, and then you give you all the communities in St. Clair County, and you can grab any community you want. If you want, so you can select either by county or community. You can select by the latest counts. So some of the counts are a little bit older, some are newer. We have not updated the 2020 counts. We should be getting these into our system maybe within the next couple weeks. We do have a limitation on the 2020 counts because of the pandemic. A lot of communities forgave taking counts. So we have a much smaller set, but we are going to be publishing it in this map, hopefully in the next couple weeks. Again, you can, if you just want to look at where all the county roads are, you can click on that. If you're interested in city roads, you can click on that. If you're interested in state counts, you can click on state. So that gives you the jurisdiction. If you're interested in national functional class, also like if you're interested in local roads or minor collectors or so on, or other freeways, you can click on that and it will pull up on the map for you. Different ways to query the data. And also you can look at number of lanes, another way to query the data. And again, as I explained, you can look at all the observed counts, interpolated counts, or just the default counts. Down here is the about page, and it gives you more information about the map, along with, if you click on this traffic count page, if you're not a map person and you like to see things more in a tabular form, you can click on here, and you can also search our traffic counts by name, so on and so forth. But it's basically the same information that you would get off the map. And you can also email me or someone at SEMCOG if you have particular questions about the map. The only other thing I want to show you on the traffic volume page is we do have a VMT counter up here. So if you're interested, like say you're St. Clair County and you're just kind of interested in the VMT, and remember, this is not all the roads in the county. These are only federal aid roads that we have the traffic counts on. So it doesn't include the local roads. A lot of the local roads, it includes just roads where federal funding is available for that particular road. It kind of gives you an idea of what your VMT is. You can compare it to other counties. You can go to a particular city and compare two cities. It just gives you a little indication of the VMT through the geography that you've chosen. So whatever is on the map, that's what this counter is going to show. You can also click on this map video tutorial. It will take you to a YouTube page, and it will give you also another tutorial for this. You can change the base map if you're interested in the traffic counts and you want to maybe look at imagery to see like what's in that area. You can do that. You could change the base map there. So that's basically our traffic volume page. I'm going to go back to the map gallery. And basically a good complement to our traffic volume page is our bicycle and pedestrian counts. Now we're seeing an increase in the number of communities interested in developing and maintaining non-motorized facilities in our region. There's a lot of communities, especially there's a lot of more people that are looking for more healthy transportation options, especially biking and walking. We also see an increase in the number of requests for pedestrian counts from community and economic development professionals and realtors, basically to recruit businesses to new storefronts. The number of people walking a downtown or business district is a direct reflection on the success and sense of vibrancy. Now, as SEMCOG, we have developed a bicycle and pedestrian count. It does have the same look and feel of our traffic volume count. By design, all our transportation maps have a very similar look. The only difference is with the bicycle and ped count, we don't do it by segments, but we do them by studies. We currently have 197 studies where we have looked at pedestrian and bikes at different areas in our region. And each dot on this map represents one of the 197 studies. If you hover over a study, it will give you the intersection or segment that the study was conducted in, along with the community it was conducted in. And then very simply, it gives you the number of bikes and the number of pedestrians that were counted in that study. If you click on a study, a green dot, it gives you a little bit more information similar to how the traffic volume map was developed. It'll give you the county, it'll give you the community, it'll give you the date the study was conducted, the time period, because these studies tend to be shorter time periods. We usually do them throughout the day. And it'll give you a breakdown of the number of bicyclists and the number of pedestrians. Again, if you're more interested in more detailed information, you can always click on the PDF and it will give you more information on that particular study. or you can also download a Excel report and it will give you the numbers in an Excel spreadsheet. So if you really want to do some additional analysis on the bikes and peds, you can actually conduct those. You can also change the background again if you're interested in maybe like imagery to look at behind, like what is actually behind this these dots. You can actually do that. Like this is out in Lake Orient, and it shows you it's we did a study right here on near the Pier Road and Atwater, so close to the river or close to the lake there. You can also, our legend is also interactive. So if you're looking for a certain range of bicycle and pedestrian counts, you can click on whether you want higher or lower ranges. You could select by county or community where the studies have been done. You can also look at, we do studies either at intersection, mid-block, or trails. So if you're only interested in trails, you can click on your trails and it'll show you all the studies that we've done on trails. If you're interested, mid-block and intersection are usually done in the cities, and the trail maps are actually done on all the trails that we have throughout the region. You could also query by different time periods, whether it's the month, the day of the month, the year that study was taken, the weekday, or the time periods. And again, we always have about sections that give you more information about the map, or if you're interested in contacting one of our bicycle and pedestrian planners, you can click here and they'll help. They will answer any questions that you may have. So I hope you're able to use these maps. If you have questions, now you can definitely put any questions in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them. Or if you want to email me later, I have no problem answering any questions you may have. Right now, I'm going to turn it back to Brian, and he's going to go over some more tools, non-residential development and residential construction tools. Brian?
Thanks, Chad. So yes, okay, now I'm back on the economic development maps and tools page. And under the planning resources section, you can find the links to the residential construction as well as the non-residential development maps. These two applications were created by my colleague, Janet Mocablo, and she cannot be here today, so I'm filling in for her. But I hope you find these maps as exciting and as useful as I have. So first, the residential construction story map. So this is a story map that's divided into 3 sections that highlights the latest trends of residential construction in our region. The 3 sections are regional highlights, which just kind of gives you an overview of what's happened region-wide. And then we also break it down into county and community highlights, showing the breakdown by county. And then we also have a map showing the total number of permits by community. If you just click on the community in the map, you can see the total number of permits. And then we have background information on to further explain to help you learn more about the data and how it's collected. The story map also includes, I think it's under the regional highlights. Yeah, it includes another map showing where the permits are located. So permits are broken down into single family in yellow, attached condominium in orange, and apartments in red. And then we also have a heat map that shows the hotspots, or where construction is most concentrated. So here you can see we have a higher concentration of permits, mostly multifamily down in Detroit, but we also have other concentrations here in Ann Arbor, somewhat into Pontiac and Rochester, across to the West Bloomfield area, and then some over here in the Troy and Birmingham area. We also have some other summary tables throughout the report and other charts. You can just read through that as you may. We list the top 10 communities for total permits as well as for single family homes. The one thing to note, and one thing that's actually nice about this data too, is that the numbers are constantly being updated and can change at any time. So I recommend you always come back to this data set to look for what the latest data are. And in case you need more recent data than year 2020, we have that can be found in our community profiles. So just go back to our community profiles, go to the housing tab. And if you go to the very last line item here in 2021, that will give you a summary of the number of permits by type for the year to date. And I believe there's a 1 month lag on those numbers, if I remember correctly. Let me go back here to our other data set. Okay, so now I'm going to go into non-residential development. I'll open up this data set. And this map shows the latest non-residential development from the past 2 years. The types of non-residential development include new construction, additions, as well as additions to new buildings. We have major renovations in here. And then we also have redevelopments, which are the tearing down of an old building and constructing a new one. This is the primary map right here. And I'm going to click on the legend where you can see the data are color coded by year built. So 2019 is in blue, the year 2020 is in orange, the year 2021 is in purple, and those that are under construction are in red. You can filter the data on this map by project type, development type, and year built. So for example, let's say I want to see what office buildings were newly built in year 2019. And the map will update as I filter it. I can also zoom to a community if I care to. So I'm going to go to Dearborn here. And here it goes to Dearborn. And here you can see that there was one office building built in Dearborn in 2019. And the other thing too is that it's very interactive. So if you click on the point, you can get more details on the project, such as the project type, the square footage, the construction value if it was provided, and what type of development it was, which of course it was new in this case. Let me go back out here. And then along the top here, there's summary data sets for each year. So again, sticking to the same color code, blue for 2019, orange for 2020, purple for 2021, and red for under construction. There are 3 tabs that you can scroll through for each. So total floor space that was completed for that year, the total number of projects that were completed for that year, and the reported construction value for that year. And then over on the right, we have charts, 3 different charts where you can scroll through these along using the tab at the bottom. So the 3 charts are total floor space by development type by year, total floor space by county in year, and total new constructed floor space by project type in year. For each chart, you can click on a category or actually on a data point, and it will filter the projects in the map as well as in the summary up here. So for example, let's say I want to learn what I want to see what warehouse and distribution facilities are currently under construction. I click on this data point, and the map automatically filters out those projects. And then up here in the summary, that data gets filtered out as well too. So currently, I can see that there, for warehouse and distribution projects, there's currently 9.2 million square feet under construction, in which there are 11 projects in the region. And the reported value for these projects is $380 million. And just click anywhere in the chart to reset it. And then lastly, we actually have two maps in here. The main map is the non-residential development projects, but then we also have another map here showing total floor space by community from year 2020 forward. For here, this is not interactive with the filters or with the charts, but you can click on a community to get the total floor space from 2020 to present. So Independence Township, for instance, has 386,000 total floor space completed, as well as under construction. Oh, and then lastly, if you want any more information, there's a background tab just alongside to the right over here. Just scroll through it. It's after the third chart. This is where you can learn more about the data set, as well as you have contact information if you have any projects that you want to add or you have a question about. You can reach out to us and we'll be happy to answer. One last thing, this data set is also constantly being updated, so the numbers will constantly be changing. So I recommend if you need the latest data, just come right to the website and you'll get the latest data. I believe it's being updated on a weekly basis. So this concludes my presentation. Thank you for your time. With that, I will pass it along to Kevin Petrino, who will talk about placemaking tools.
Thanks, Brian. I am just share my screen. I hope everyone is seeing my screen, which is showing placemaking. Kevin Johnson talked a little bit about this in his presentation at the front end, and I'm going to highlight 4 resources as part of this. As you see on the screen, we've got 7 total. I'm going to talk about the Bicycle and Pedestrian and Mobility Networks map, our Great Lakes Way resource, as well as our Park Finder and Southeast Michigan Trail Explorer. If you click on the Bicycle and Pedestrian Network map, you'll enter a new tab, which will look like this. And this is really our goal of creating a one-stop shop for all of our bicycle and pedestrian facilities, our infrastructure, what we have currently, as well as what we have planned. For economic development, which I think many on this meeting will be interested in, is an opportunity to see what's currently in your community or neighboring communities for planning, as well as how you can identify gaps, whether that's a bicycle network gap or a pedestrian gap. So I'm going to go through this map relatively quickly, but I really encourage you to explore it following today's webinar. Like most of our maps that have been shared today, we've got an about this map, which will give you the definitions. So we're using things like sharrows and words that may not be as familiar with some. You'll get an image as well as a definition. So when we talk about shared use path, what that is as composed to a trail. So about this map's the first tab you get to. The second one is our existing bikeways. So this is one regional map that's including all of our known shared use paths, so those that are 8 to 10 feet or wider, as well as our bike lanes and other bikeways, which are things like shared use markings or those sharrows that I just spoke about, as well as signed routes, so places that are suitable or that communities are encouraging folks to use. So again, it's interactive. So as you zoom in, you'll see in orange, we've got other bikeways, bike lanes in green. So if you click on any segments, this, for instance, as I zoom in the city of Detroit, I've got a bike lane that's on 2nd Avenue in the city. And then for all of them, we'll include some type of comfort level. This is an analysis of looking at the speed, the volume, as well as the road's width to understand just how comfortable it would be. So as you're planning a trip as a resident or as a community, to understand what roads you're looking for your residents to use. If I click on a purple, I'll get a shared use path. This is in Lafayette Park in the city. So again, you've got a higher tier because it's off-road, so comfortable for most as opposed to some. And again, throughout, many of our communities have networks that they encourage residents to use. So these may not be infrastructure, but they could be signed areas that folks are interested if they want to connect between communities. As we go across the top, we also have our sidewalk network. And this is for the entire 7-county region. The data is a couple years old, and we try to update it as much as possible. We really would like our communities to let us know, because sidewalks are something that, you know, we'll be able to update periodically when new construction comes in. But as some of our gaps are filled or new extensions are made, we want to update this and make this as usable as possible and as up to date. So again, it's interactive. Click on any segments and it will give you the width of that sidewalk. So again, as you're planning or you're trying to understand how your pedestrians may move around your community, the sidewalk width and data. We also have crosswalks for their areas. So some of it may be unmarked, where there's no what we might call zebra stripes or some type of marking. So in some cases it will be unmarked, and in some cases it'll be marked. So yellow is showing our marked crosswalks here, that again, you get the width, the information of that information. So again, for planning as well as for understanding your own network. We also have, and again, as you click across the top, you'll see different, you'll stay at the same zoom. So these are our regional trail networks. So as you click on them, you'll get the name of the trail as well as part of a larger network, like the Great Lake to Lake Trail. This is the Clinton River Trail in, I think we're in Auburn Hills at this point, the width. And again, going across the top, this is our planned bikeway and pedestrian network. This is where we had staff really look at all of our local plans and identify where there is some type of planned infrastructure upcoming. And this is in purple, and then in gray is the existing. I'm going to move on to our next map. Again, across the top, you'll get regional bicycle and pedestrian corridors. If you click on that tab, it will give you an overview of our main arteries, if you will, of our walking and biking network, equity and demand analysis, a safety analysis, and then a list of all of the currently known as probably about a year ago, last time we've updated this. And again, we want to continue to update it, of communities that have either or a bicycle and pedestrian mobility plan or some type of non-motorized plan document. So as I mentioned before, our another placemaking tool is our Great Lakes Way story map. And again, we're calling these place resources because they're really opportunity to celebrate what we have in the region, both as a marketing component as well as a planning tool. So under the Great Lakes Way, this is really an opportunity for us to showcase the great water resources we have in our Erie to Huron corridor. So starting up north of Port Huron, going down all the way south to our Ohio border, south of, Monroe. So again, as you zoom around the map, you can zoom, you can zoom in and out. You can click on any point of interest, and it will give you an image of that resource, as well as a description of what's there and a link to more information. And you also have green and blue lines that denote the different either walking or biking paths in green, or blue where there's a water trail. So again, Selfridge Air National Guard Base and Museum. So again, you've got tabs to click the photos, and you can also navigate around the map, either by zooming in and out, clicking on the different tabs. So this is Lake St. Clair Metro Park. And again, multiple photos, descriptions, links to more. So again, this is an opportunity for us to market some of our, world-renowned water resources along our great waterfront. So again, as we zoom around, we can click on and you see the upcoming Ralph C. Wilson Centennial Park. And again, this is both existing as well as things that are planned for the upcoming years. I think we're out to at least 2023 in some cases. And then also across the top, we've got our greenways and blueways. This is really those routes that I was saying before in the green and the blue. So this is both along our corridor, but also the connections. So if you click on some of these, you'll also get connecting routes that are getting you to different destinations beyond just our coastal areas. So again, as you click on any of them, you'll get more information with photos to give you a sense of what's there currently and how you might be able to connect to some of our great parks and other resources. Blueways, same way. Again, greenways is our walking, biking, primarily trails, and then blueways is looking at our different water resources along our Great Lakes corridor and routing. I'm also next thing I'm gonna showcase to you is our Park Finder. I hope many of you already know much about this, but this really is an interactive tool of all of our regions, nearly 3,000 parks, from our large county parks, our state parks, as well as our Huron Clinton Metro Parks, all the way down to our more localized and community and neighborhood parks. So again, you can zoom in and out and click on any of the parks that you're interested in. So if I'm interested in Columbus Park in St. Clair County, I get the size and acreage, as well as the different amenities that park offers. And again, I can filter by the different amenities if there's something specific I'm looking for as I'm traveling around the region, or I can look by location, by either county or community. By park type, is it a private park? Is it a public park? Private parks primarily are golf courses. So again, really encourage you to check out tools to help you get more information. So again, Stony Creek Metro Park, the different amenities that are offered, the size. So another great tool, both for planning, but more for really allowing our residents and our communities to explore the great natural and recreational amenities that we have. The final tool I want to showcase is our Southeast Michigan Trail Explorer. And I should say that within Park Finder, you also have an opportunity to turn on and off Trail Explorer. So again, I'm going to show specifically Trail Explorer, but these two maps work together really well. And this is really providing you with our major regional trails and waterways with a 360-degree tour of them. So if I'm interested in greenways or trails, those are in green. Our waterways are in blue. And for any segment that I'm interested in, I can click on that segment and automatically be transformed, if you will, or transported to being on that waterway or that biking and walking trail. So again, it works just like Google Street View, but for our natural environment, you can zoom around, get a sense of what it is. If you're planning a trip out, taking a kayak trip or a canoe trip, again, it's both the waterways. So again, as you click on something, it will automatically take you there. You also can search by type. So if I'm looking specifically for the border-to-border trail in Ann Arbor, I can hover over that, click on it, and then again, now I am at Argo Dam area along the border-to-border trail in Ann Arbor. So again, we've got roughly 2,000 miles between our land and water trails to navigate. So that concludes my presentation. I'm going to stop my share and turn it back over to Nahid. But I really do encourage folks to reach out to any of us for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. That was very good. We had so much information. Thank you to all our staff. We really appreciate the work that you're doing, and I'm hoping that it was very useful to our audience today. We redesigned the economic development webpage to bring together all the tools and maps and other resources for economic development. And we hope it was useful to you. We received several questions during the webinar, and we don't really have that much time, but several of them were answered directly by our speakers. We have a couple more that maybe we'll just, I think everyone really more or less explained the source of their information. If you did not get the answer you wanted, please reach out to our individual speakers. I will put in their contact information in the follow-up email. You know, of course, as I mentioned before, we will also be receiving a copy of a link to the webinar so that you can either watch it again or share with others that you think would be find it useful. So at this point, I just want to make sure that our audience is also aware of a related SEMCOG MAC initiative called the New Future of Southeast Michigan. This is a series of community conversations about issues impacted by the pandemic and how they're likely to fare in the future. The expertise of SEMCOG and MAC members, as well as other regional stakeholders, will be essential to this process. The goal is to create a more resilient region by addressing challenges resulting from the pandemic and ensuring our future is more equitable, prosperous, and able to withstand major future disruptions. So look out for those. The upcoming new future conversations include the ones on this list. The ones in red particularly will probably be of more interest to our economic development practitioners, but of course, you're all welcome to attend all of them. Please make a note of that. And finally, if you need something from SEMCOG, please reach out to us. Our info center at semcog.org will provide a link to someone who can make sure that you get the information, or forward your request to other staff members. And again, as I mentioned, you will have a copy of the contact information for all of our speakers today. So again, hopefully this was a useful webinar for you to attend, and we appreciate your participation. And so we are adjourned. Thank you.